Today on the News and Why It Matters, we're going to play a game of charades. Are you ready? Are you ready? This is me. I'm LeBron James, and I'm digging my hole deeper and deeper. We got a lot coming up. It starts right now. Welcome to the News and Why It Matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by, I don't think these three have ever been together on the same episode, Jason Buttrell, chief researcher for the Glenn Beck program. We've got YouTube host, YouTube sensation, Eric July, back in the building, wearing a shirt that I really want. I don't think you can see it. It says, redistribution is not fairness, it's theft. Thank you very much. Taxation is theft. And we've got BlazeTV media critic Rob Eno in the house. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, got a lot to get into, and it won't be a whole game of charades, I promise. I was done with the charades. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, American Financing. So maybe you are looking for a house. You're going to buy your first home. Maybe you're trying to get a refi because now's the time to get a refi. The interest rates are low. You want to do that now. Whatever the case may be, American Financing is your go-to. American Financing does business differently. They're not like all of the rest of the financial institutions who are just looking for, which deal is going to get me the best kickback. That's the one I'm going to recommend. That's not American Financing. American Financing they're salary-based. They have salary-based professionals, not commission-based. They really are truly there to help get you into the best fit, the best solution for your family and for your needs. You can call them. It is 800-906-2440, or you can visit AmericanFinancing.net. Again, now's the time, you guys. Now is the time if you want to do a refi. Even myself and my husband were like, do we buy a new house or do we just do a refi? I don't know, but one of those things needs to happen right now. AmericanFinancing.net. You can go there, get yourself taken care of. All right, a lot to get into today. Let's start with LeBron James, who finally commented, Mr. I can't shut up about everything social justice when it comes to what's going on in America, was painfully silent for, a week after Houston Rockets GM Daryl Morey came out and said the controversial statement, I stand with Hong Kong. I know, it was super controversial. No one wanted to touch it. It started this, catapult domino effect with the NBA and China. And LeBron stepping up, really just taking this brave, bold stance, said this about Morey's remarks.
We all talk about this freedom of speech. Yes, we all do have freedom of speech. But at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others and you're only thinking about yourself. So I don't believe. I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke, and so many people could have been harmed, not only financially but physically, emotionally, spiritually. So just be careful what we tweet and we say and what we do. Even though yes, we do have freedom of speech, but there can be a lot of negative that comes with that too.
We all have freedom of speech, except for people in communist China that are about to take that away from the people in.
Well, we all have freedom of speech. Not them. That's fine. They can continue making his shoes for him, in their little slave labor facilities. Eric, I saw you shaking your head.
Yeah. Look, now I want to start by saying that I did not agree with a lot of people that were maybe on the more conservative side when LeBron James initially started to become more socially active, if you will. They told him to shut up and dribble.
Yes.
I don't agree with that. I don't think anybody, just because of whatever profession they're part of, should have to be limited to just speaking about that.
We're all American citizens.
I deal with that, yes. I deal with that myself, where people say, hey, stick to this, stick to comic books, stick to whoever, and I've always disagreed with it. With that being said, it does not change the fact that LeBron James is a raging hypocrite when it comes to this whole scenario. I just thought it was painfully odd for him to come out and say that someone else was more so thinking about themselves when they were actually doing the complete opposite. But it does go to show how deep, let's say, money in terms of like the Chinese involvement, the market, it is how many billions of people are out there. It's like 3 times the population out here. So there's a lot of money involved. When you consider absolutely with Daryl Morey, Houston Rockets, Yao Ming, all of that. So we know there's a lot of money tied up in the NBA, a lot of Chinese money, if you will, not even just including Nike, basketball, and everything.
That's what's driving LeBron.
Yes.
He said that he wants to be the first billionaire athlete.
Exactly. And he'd be more honest, or I'd at least respect him a little more if he just flat out said that. Yeah. But he's trying to sort of couple it with other things, which is why the first thing he mentions, he was like, I don't know if we showed it in that clip. He's like, well, there's these ramifications when it comes to like financial backlash and what have you. That was the first thing he mentioned, and he goes on and says like spiritually and all these other things, which I didn't quite understand.
Well, here, hold on. Let me break it down for you. If we speak out about what China is doing, China could then make him less rich, and he would be very sad about it.
That's what he meant.
So mentally, spiritually, he would be sad about it.
Hurting his bottom line, which is what this is about. Let's cut to the chase. This is what this is about. It's like that with the NBA. You had some individuals that were just more silent than they've ever been. This is what makes it sort of hypocritical when it comes to LeBron James, because he is now as socially active as he's ever been, and he's sort of this poster child for everything right with the NBA because he's using his platform to speak on all of these social issues. But the minute somebody else does that, then it's, well, ramifications and all of this stuff. It's like, well, were you considering that with the things you said, whether someone agrees or disagrees? We know that some of your stances maybe have been controversial and may turn people away from the NBA. So we're dealing with that in other sports when you talk about Kaepernick and NFL as well. So yes, he's correct in a sense that there's going to be consequences depending on what you say. That is 100% true. But for him, of all people, as socially active as he is, for him to be the one to say that, I just think that's it doesn't make any sort of sense in that regard. It's extremely hypocritical, and I just think that it's odd that the NBA and members some are silent and the others are like, well, I'm not educated enough. And this is one of the more cut and dry things.
Who was that? Curry?
Steve Kerr. It's like, oh, I'm not as loud. You know, anytime they could take a shot at definitely Trump, they're as loud as they want to be. Oh, I'm not as educated on all this.
He's keeping kids in cages. Right. And then when it comes to China,
I don't know.
I don't know about that. Well, they're re-education camps.
Yes.
Okay, they're just trying to help educate them, Eric. Clearly, that's all that's going on there.
And we have others, and long before this, Enes Kanter, who is a basketball player, is dealing with a lot with the Turkish government and so forth, and he's been very active in what he's been saying against sort of their current regime.
We have his tweet too, if you want to.
And nobody has said anything about what he is saying here, and he's been saying this for a while. He's been dealing with a lot of issues over there, and nobody's like, well, shut up, or well, what about the ramifications? Nobody's saying it. It's just when they started taking shots at maybe what's going on with the Chinese market, then it's like, wait a minute, oh, you're threatening our bottom line. You can't be going around saying it. Almost feels like these guys have been handed some sort of script, and they're like, don't say this because look, you may hurt your own bottom line.
I read in the paper, Kanter actually has a panic button that the FBI put in his house. It's so bad. And you got LeBron saying, no, that stuff doesn't matter. That there's, who cares about human rights?
Yeah.
That does highlight, that's a good point. That highlights just the hypocrisy here and what they're really about. It's not social issues, because you didn't have no problems at all with them speaking out against Turkey because of how many people are watching the NBA in Turkey.
Right.
I'm sure there's a few.
Right.
I can't even think. Was Turkaloo like one of the only? I can't even.
I don't know. It's not a whole lot of Turkish NBA
players at all.
Yeah,
but once you get 2-3 billion people in that size market, they're like, oh well, let's not piss them off.
Right.
Well, one of the NBA owners too is actually an Alibaba, like Alibaba's one of their largest shareholders after Jack Ma. So there's Chinese money in the NBA and the ownership too.
Well, LeBron, of course, got just trashed online. Huge backlash after he made those comments, and he followed up with a tweet. All right, let him explain himself, okay? He says, let me clear up the confusion. I do not believe there was any consideration for the consequences and ramifications of the tweet. I'm not discussing the substance. Others can talk about that. My team in this league just went through a difficult week. I think people need to understand what a tweet or statement can do to others. And I believe nobody stopped and considered what would happen. Could have waited a week to send it, all right? What? Look,
Oh my God.
we're out here making millions of dollars playing ball, okay? And you guys are worried about people being oppressed and fighting for their freedom and Muslims, being taken into concentration camps. Come on. Why don't you stick up for me, LeBron James, the little guy? Where are you for me?
He made it worse.
That's so great.
Yes.
He instantly said that we're the victim. That's the same tactic that you'll see from leftists nowadays.
Could have waited a week to send it.
I know. come
Sorry,
on.
LeBron.
That was the equivalent.
Inconvenience, LeBron
Yeah, I'm
James.
so sorry to inconvenience you, LeBron.
He could have just said you're all racist or something like that. Just shut it down right there. It's the same thing.
It is interesting too because Eric, I know you kind of touched on this, but 2018, I just watched a video of him being interviewed, and this was when he was just at his most social justice activism, and he said, I just feel like I have to use my platform to stand up for children, to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. I have to use there are people who look to me to do that, and I have to use my platform to do that. Now all of a sudden,
He actually even has a tweet back in I believe it was last year where he was talking about if there's injustice one place. He was
Yes.
quoting like MLK and
Yes,
stuff. He's
yes.
like, there's injustice one place, then it's injustice everywhere or something along those lines. We always have to speak up about it. Unless it's Hong Kong. He forgot to throw that asterisk in there. And so well, Hong Kong and China, that's just a little bit different. We don't want to make those guys mad, but it's insanely hypocritical for him to get out there and say these sorts of things. And it almost feels as if he himself isn't as educated on the matter as he is claiming that Daryl Morey is.
He's
And
educated in selling jerseys
it's almost
in
a
China.
projection. And
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking on the other side. I was like, well, maybe he is educated in the sense that he knows that this is going to hurt the bottom line, considering his shoe deal, Nike. He wants all that money coming in, and it's just weird. Using a platform is okay here, but over there, no, you can't be doing that. Think of the ramifications.
Right, because, interestingly enough, when you use the platform over here, you're not financially hit, right? Because you've got half of the country who agrees with you. All of a sudden, when you're talking about your finances, could possibly be hit. Oh, think of the ramifications, Rob.
It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, and you said Nike, right? China forced Nike to take jerseys out of their store and all that kind of stuff. So absolutely, I agree completely. LeBron James looks at his balance sheet and says, this is going to cost me X number of millions of dollars, and he makes his calculation that way. He's just as hypocritical as the rest of the people that he hates.
And speaking of those negative consequences, there were Hong Kong protesters who were already burning his jerseys all over the place.
They were going ham on Twitter, like I saw. And I was actually, I'm gonna be honest, I was sort of surprised that he, of all people, and I think he maybe didn't really consider the ramifications of him saying what he said, because I think you get this sort of, I'm on top of the world, I'm LeBron James, who is going to criticize me? Every position that I have is automatically the right position. But there were so many people that were like, no, you got this part wrong. And even explaining himself, he still gets it wrong.
What's crazy is, and I've said this on the show before, is that it's amazing to me this is coming out now and people are criticizing it, I guess because of what's going on in Hong Kong. But big businesses have always bowed to China. They always have. This is just a great example of what pretty much every large business that operates in China does. They'll sell out human rights just for the sake of that market. But I mean, just this week, how they've been able to come down on the NBA is nuts. It doesn't show that they're powerful. It shows how fragile their ideas are. Like, they can't allow a tweet without expecting their entire system to come down. How sad is that?
Before we go, can we put up crying LeBron signs I just saw it. Yes, this is my favorite part of the Hong Kong protesters. This was in Hong Kong today. They were holding up
the money.
crying LeBron. They were wearing crying LeBron masks with the little eye holes, and then they had the money
Chinese
in
money,
front
that's
of their faces. That's awesome. Suck it, LeBron.
Can that be? We need to make a meme of this. Of you doing this. It's criminal if that doesn't happen.
Did you see the DreamWorks thing?
Before we jump back into the conversation, we want to thank our sponsor, realestateagentsitrust.com. So last segment, we were talking about how, hey, now's the time to buy a home or refinance. If you are one of those who is like, oh, I need to buy a home right now, you got to use realestateagentsitrust.com. This is Glenn's company. He founded it because moving around in radio all the time, they realized, there are some commonalities between all of these terrible real estate agents, and there are also some commonalities between all of these awesome real estate agents. So they developed a system where they've already done all the vetting for you. You don't have to go through Google reviews or Yelp reviews. I don't know if real estate agents are on Yelp, but let's say they are. You don't have to go through all of these reviews, sift through them like, who should I trust with the biggest investment I'm ever going to make in my life? You don't have to do that. You can go to realestateagentsitrust.com. They have already vetted these people for their skill, their expertise, make sure that they do this full time and they don't just dabble in it like Jason's plumber over here. These are the experts that are going to know where is best for you and your family. They're going to put you somewhere safe. They're going to get you the best deal that you could get. You got to go to realestateagentsitrust.com. All you have to do is fill out a form, and they should have someone in contact with you within 10 minutes, unless you're filling out the form at like 2 a.m. And in that case, go to bed. All right. So Hunter Biden he did his big exclusive ABC News interview. And were you surprised? I didn't feel like there were any bombshells. There was nothing shocking.
Yeah,
there were a couple little nuances that we'll get into. But Jason, I know you've done a lot of research into the Bidens and what's been going on. Before we get into these clips, did you find anything to be terribly shocking that he said?
No, especially the fact that it was so softball.
Yeah.
That was not shocking in the slightest.
Right.
It was exactly what we expected it to be. It was exactly what I remember Adam Schiff was talking, I think it was Meet the Press over the weekend, or was it Face the Nation, whatever, they're all the same. And he said on Sunday that, oh yeah, maybe I kind of didn't say it how I wanted to say it when I didn't let everyone know that I'd met with the whistleblower. That's not what I meant. I just said, and there was literally, you would expect a crazy follow-up question, to go into that. And she goes, all right, thanks for stopping by, appreciate it. All they're doing is allowing these people a chance to defend themselves.
Push their narrative.
Yeah, to say like, this is what all these conspiracy people are saying about these debunked theories and everything. Here's your shot in the limelight to show everybody that you're great and a Boy Scout. And we expected that. So we drafted a list of questions and we told the audience, if they don't ask these questions, or if there's not a follow-up to some of these questions, then this is not legit. They're literally just doing this to give him that opportunity. And that's all. I don't think the entire thing's been released yet, but that's all I saw.
Yeah. So here's one clip. I want to get all of your feedback on this. Hunter Biden on receiving money from China and whether or not that actually happened. Watch.
The president has repeatedly said that you received $1.5 billion from China despite no experience and for no apparent reason. Obviously, fact checkers have said that that is not true.
Look, this is literally has no basis in fact in any way.
Have you received any money from that business dealing?
No.
At all? Not
No,
1 cent?
Not 1 cent.
Of course.
Definitely not 1.5 billion.
It's crazy. They feel like they have the license to go out and say whatever they want. It feels to me like living in some kind of Alice in Wonderland, where you're up on the real world and then you fall down the rabbit hole and the president's a Cheshire cat asking you questions about crazy things that don't bear any resemblance to the reality of anything that has to do with me. And so here's the answer. No one ever paid me $1.5 billion. And if they had, I would not be doing this interview right now.
Oh my gosh. So the way that was asked, all right, she said it, I just want to, first of all, the way she asked it was like, oh my gosh.
Let's just get this crazy thing out of the way.
It's because it's already been debunked, but go ahead, and play with the kids. You know what I mean? That was so ridiculous. And of course he was not paid $1.5 billion. Hunter Biden, the way he could pass a lie detector test with the way that question was asked and the way he answered. Of course he didn't. The Chinese bank, one of the most, I think the actual most powerful banking entity in China, allowed this company that wasn't 2 years old with a guy that his pastime, his favorite hobby is doing cocaine. He had no experience doing this whatsoever. They passed over Morgan, all the big banks.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan.
J.P. Morgan, all the big banks. They passed over them all and said, hey, what about this guy? What's his name? Hunter Biden? Yeah, let's have him. Let's give him this huge deal. And of course, they didn't write him a check and say, here, Hunter, spend it. Don't spend it all in one place, whatever. They gave them money to invest in other companies. So, of course, that was not their money. It was money for them to invest. But she didn't even address that. She didn't even follow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, it's like you said, it's not exactly the money. He doesn't, I thought the part that was interesting is she said, did you get any money from China? And he goes, not 1 cent. He was on the board of a Chinese company that he just said that he would step down from. But not 1 cent?
Well, and, he said that he would step down from it. He didn't also indicate that he is a stakeholder in it and will still be receiving money.
Right,
from
and
it.
that company owns, I think it's 10% of the facial recognition or some other software company that is being used to oppress the Muslim minority in Western China. I mean, he actually is profiting from the Chinese government oppressing people.
It's almost like the left doesn't actually care about human rights abuses.
So imagine that. I mean, imagine that. But I think that's the most interesting thing of this all is when and this is sort of a repeat thing, right? Where you get these people that get these softball questions and the interviewers always helping them out. Like that. And I like, what's the point other than okay, I want to give you a platform to debunk all this, and I'm going to help you out, right?
Yeah.
We'll make sure we get all of this stomped out. But to ask somebody a question as such and then help them out, well, the fact checkers, they've already got this covered. We know it's not true. Of course you didn't get, and then she's like clarifying, like, absolutely not $1.5 billion, right? Like, what? Like, you can't just ask him and let him answer it for himself. You got to help him out.
What I hate about this is, we're used to the media doing this for people on the left. So this is no surprise. So whatever. I mean, the same old show. What I hate about this is distracting from the fact that, look, we're not trying to say that they did anything illegal. Now, I don't know what Trump is saying, what Giuliani is saying. They might be trying to prove something. That we're not even saying that. And I personally don't think this is illegal.
Yeah.
It's not illegal. It's ridiculously dirty is what this is. There are laws that need to be changed. There's oversight that needs to be changed on family member and friends of politicians, how they get their money, if they're dealing with organizations where that said official is doing business and are making policy moves in those places. It's incredibly dirty. In my opinion, it completely disqualifies Joe Biden from being president. I don't want him going out and continuing to do this stuff when his family is getting these multi-billion-dollar deals and they're happening 10 days after he meets in a closed-door session with Xi Jinping. That's the appearance of corruption, which automatically disqualifies you.
Well, I also love, kind of to both of your points, that the media is helping them just kind of erase history by reporting it as, well, Hunter Biden said that he will not do any business with any foreign-related, companies if his dad gets elected. It's like, well, no, he already was elected.
Right, and he was doing it.
And he did do that. So did we forget about that this whole time? I mean, are we gonna we're just gonna skim over that and just say, well, look at Hunter Biden made that promise, but look at the Trump kids. They're all profiting off of Trump.
That's the part that is absolutely hilarious. Trump and his kids made their money before they went into government. The Bidens made their money because Joe Biden was in government.
Yeah.
And when the left comes with that argument, I don't know how to respond to it other than to just laugh.
Well, also, I mean, Donald Trump, they could use his name. They used the Trump name a long time ago, right? They've been using his name. He built his name, not just the money, but the name recognition way before he became president. So it's not the presidency that did that.
Why do you think big government people are rushing to protect this and say that's debunked? Because this is this is one of the largest reasons why we criticize big government. That's why we criticize people in like communist China, why Mao was the richest man in the country. And supposedly, in a communist government where everyone was shared. It's why Maduro is like one of the richest. He's a billionaire for crying out loud, and all his kids are billionaires. These are the exact same things that happen in communist and socialist regimes. This is what we're screaming about, saying this is why big government sucks. Because everybody else is miserable except for the people at the top. And this will continue to go until there's some kind of change.
All right, all great points. Back in a minute.
I thought you were going to do the
Don't forget, for those of you who have not yet done this, we're running a contest right now. Okay, we've gotten a lot of entries. All you have to do to win free merch, you can pick from the Blaze, the new Blaze shop. It's shop.theblaze.com. You can pick a t-shirt, a mug, or a hat from the new Blaze shop. All you have to do is go to wherever you listen to your podcasts, find this program, The News and Why It Matters, subscribe and rate us. I mean, I'm just saying don't rate us like 1 star and then expect to get free merch, but rate us. Give us a good review if you wouldn't mind. I mean, I'm just saying if you could just say Sarah's awesome, that would be great too. We're picking the winners on Friday, so make sure you get your reviews in. Overtime starts next.